Spirit, divine self, source, creator, we gather here together to seek guidance and support as we open this meeting. Tonight, as we engage in meaningful discussion, we grow closer as a group and nurture the bonds of our community. We are grateful for all the blessings in our lives as we share our courage and wisdom with each other. May peace and love fill us as we serve the highest good of the group, and may we find a way to be real with each other. Fill us with inspiration and energy as we work together, guiding and supporting each other, encouraging and kind, our words uplifting and inspiring one another. Thank you for this beautiful group that has gathered here to learn and connect with each other, and especially we are grateful for our wonderful instructor and leader, Holly.
Mm-hmm. That was beautiful. Thank you. So are you ready to sing to the angels? We're going to be singing to the angels together. I am really excited to share this with you. This is a process that I came upon in 2019. And I have probably done about 50 different angel magic rituals at the time since then, for myself, for my work, for my clients, for my family, and for all that's going on the planet. And it's a beautiful process to have access to because it gives you a sense of making a difference in whatever way you want to do the magic. And it'll take probably about 20 minutes for you to go through it the first time today. And you're all going to go through it together. We'll have our mics off so everybody can sing in privacy. It'd be a little cacophony if we all sang together, probably on Zoom anyway. And then when you actually do the rituals for yourself and get the flow of it, it'll take about 5 minutes to do a ritual. So it's not very long. But Angel Magic requires a few things to prepare. So I'm going to help you prepare today. I've done a lot of the preparation for you. And then I'm going to actually do a ritual in front of you, which is the same ritual that you will do with your mics off. So we'll do it together. And by the end of our time, you'll have an experience of actually doing an Angel Magic. And you'll have a lot of time at the end you can ask questions. Now, this is a deep experience for me, and it took me about 2 or 3 years before I started to look behind the scenes to look at what the history of this process is and where it came from. And believe me, it's a rabbit hole if you want to get into this. There's a lot of history and a lot of information out there, including a link that I sent you on the materials of a man who did his PhD thesis on Angel Magic to look at the etiology of how it evolved and all of the refinement of how it's been put together over the traditions of the Jewish tradition from the Old Testament. And you will be singing the angels' names today, and you'll be speaking from the Psalms in the Old Testament in Hebrew. And I have some of the translations for you on the page that has the notes on it so that you can understand what it is we're babbling together. One of the things that you will prepare is a psalm for the angel that you choose. And I have a psalm today that I've translated into something that has meaning for me. I take the liberty of looking up the psalms and finding different translations of the psalms, and then I choose one or I rewrite it so that it's comfortable for me. You can also just read the psalm in Hebrew if you prefer. So there's a little bit of an adaptation there that you can do with that. But these are some of the guidelines, and these are things you might want to take some notes on. I've got a lot of notes in the materials, but these are just the very basics that we're going to get into today. The first thing is the timing of doing an Angel Magic ritual. You start on a Thursday and go for 11 days, which would end on a Sunday. That's the number 11. That's one of the mystical traditions that's in this ritual. And when you do the ritual, you have to have some of the images, which are called sigils, in front of you so that you will be looking at the sigils to invoke the energy and the intention behind the sigils. Now, anyone who studies energy work, or maybe even looking at some physics that's being studied right now, we know that things have frequencies. I remember going to an exhibit in San Francisco at the Exploratorium, which is in downtown San Francisco, where they had this exhibit of this metal plate on a stand with very, very fine sand on it. And they had these huge stereo speakers that they would direct towards the sand with different sounds. And rock and roll music would be chaos. The sound Om was a round circle of energy. It vibrated the sand into a circle. And then they had all kinds of other exhibits to show different frequencies and how it affected matter. And the book that was by Dr. Emoto on the messages in water is another example of how we understand that there are vibrations and frequencies to everything that's manifested in life. So these sigils and these words that we're saying have a frequency effect of supporting us in expanding our consciousness, uplifting our frequencies so that we can join the energy of the angelic realm. The energy is transmitted through lightning bolts to us in this ritual. We're connected energetically through electricity. And because we are expanded when we do angel magic, our intention is elevated to a higher frequency closer to the divine source. So angel magic is very different than just doing regular manifesting, which is our consciousness asking to connect. We have an intermediary support by working with the angels. And all angel magic, from my perspective, is white magic. We're asking always for the highest good. We're asking for things that make a difference in our life and the life of others, that are positive and loving and affirming and expanding. It's not about getting a pink Cadillac. You know what I mean? It's not coming from the ego. It's coming from a higher intentionality. And that's where manifesting will happen. That's where miracles come from, is expanding the frequency to a very high level. Any tool that we learn can be used for good or ill. I'm sure there are people out there using angel magic for their own greedy purposes, but I'm going to model for you today that we can use angel magic for expanding our lives and expanding and supporting others. So that's my intention for today. And this is Angel Magic 101, you guys. You can spend time really going into some of the history of it and the depths of it, and understand it from a much deeper level than we actually have time today. And you may find that it's not for you. I've introduced this to some people who just say, this isn't for me. I just recently went on Amazon to look at this book again. There are over 2,000 people that have reviewed this book. And it is a delight to read some of people's experiences of how they've been using angel magic. So one of the things I recommend, if you're going to take this and run with it on your own, you have to get the book, for one thing, because you're going to need having access to all the angels that are in there. But you can also look up on Amazon what people have to say about their experiences. For so many people, this has been life-changing for them. And for so many people, there's been tremendous value and benefits in their lives from working with this process. And the bottom line is, it's fun. It's magical and it's fun. So today you're going to get initiated, and some of you may even have an experience of an angel. You don't always have an angel experience. They come in all kinds of ways. It can come through synchronicities. It can come through the feeling and the frequencies. It can come through visions or inner visions. It might just come from a beautiful feeling in your heart that you're doing some good in the world doing this magic. So start on a Thursday. This happens to be a Thursday, and end on a Sunday. And I've written a request for all of us that is generic enough that I think it will suit everyone, that is asking for abundance in our practices, whatever your practice is. And you'll see, if you haven't read it already, we'll be going over the request. And I've also chosen an angel today who is Damabia. And Damabia is what Damabia looks like. Is for a specific request for work. And I will read what Damabia is all about for you. Actually, I'm going to bring it up on the screen to show you. Okay, I don't need that. I need. Okay, this is Damabia. This is Damabia, who brings success to business. This angel will not make a bad business thrive, but if you are making efforts to start a business or improve an existing business, do not miss the opportunities provided by Damabia. This angel being success brings success by guiding your actions and uncovering opportunities that you may not have seen, helping you make wise decisions that get your business to thrive. So that's what we're working for today. And I brought to you the sigil of Damabia. So you'll be working with that sigil. And also you will be working with this intention. Let me get my thing here. It doesn't look like it's showing up. So I'm going to read it to you. This is our intention, and you'll have a copy of this in your materials. Okay. The Damabia is with Psalm 179 from the Old Testament. And here's the translation that I came up with for us that we'll be using. Oh, this is it. Do you see that okay?
Yes.
Okay. So the Psalm I translated from the Hebrew, may I be guided to do your work and be in service to your children. That's the Psalm. So we're going to be saying that Psalm. And here is the intention that we'll be working on today. I call upon the Damabia, because you always sing the angel's name, to increase and sustain the flow of my clients in my practice who are ready, willing, and able to pursue their healing and growth. I manifest these clients and the resources I need to thrive in business and in my personal and financial life. I dedicate my work in service of others' life purpose, healing, and well-being. I am fulfilled and honored to contribute to individual and global healing and the expansion of consciousness through my work. And I am grateful for all the clients with whom I share my presence, skill, and love. So that's what we'll be asking for today with the angels. It's up to you if you want to continue doing this magic with Damabia after our class today, but if you have another angel that you particularly feel connected to and want to write your own, go for it. This is just a sample of how to do it today. Okay, so when you work with an angel, the first time you work with this angel, you have to galvanize, magnetize, energize the sigil so that you have a connection to it. So if you will bring up the Shem sigil, which is used every time you do a ritual, and the Damabia symbol on your screen, we're going to activate it together. You only have to do this one time for each sigil. So everybody get those two things on your screen or in front of you. And we will start with the Shem sigil. Looks like this. Like that. This is the symbol that has the connection to the divine. All of these are the angels' name, the 72 angels of magic. And in the center is the Hebrew. There's 4 Hebrew letters, which are as close as you can get to God. God is unnameable. You can't limit the connection to God through using a word. But these are Hebrew letters that have no vowels, so you can't say them. You can't speak what God is, because God is the ineffable. So this is the way we connect to the angels and to God. Every time we do a ritual, you start with the Shem. And then we will be activating the Damebia sigil. So we'll start with the Shem. If you will look at that, put it in front of you. Just take a moment to relax into your body and get comfortable. And let your eyes pass over the sigil of the talisman, scanning over the shapes of the letters and the lines that make up the images. Look at the letters as though they are merely shapes. Don't try to read them or understand them. After doing this for a few moments, take a breath and imagine the sun and feel its mighty power. Imagine the sun shrinking down, moving towards you, towards your chest, getting smaller and smaller as it comes close to you. And as it meets you, it settles into your heart as a tiny, brilliant star. Remain aware of this brilliant star within you and gaze at the sigil. Now imagine that the sky above you is filled with powerful storm clouds, ready to strike lightning. Look at the sigil again and imagine the image of the sigil also moves into your heart. And when you feel the sigil has reached your heart, imagine a bolt of lightning descending from the heavens and striking it in your heart. Imagine a bolt of lightning striking you whenever you sing an angel's name. This will connect you to Source and to the angels. So that's how you do an activating of a sigil. We're going to do it also now because we're going to be using Damebia. So put this sigil in front of you.
Holly, what page is that?
Well, there's different versions in different books, but in my book, it's page 179.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, there is no index in the book, so you have to go through 72 angels every time you want to do one. Find one.
But
Okay.
you've got it in the papers that you sent us.
Yes, it is there. It is there. So gaze at the Damebia sigil. Let your eyes pass over the sigil, scanning the shapes of the letters and the lines that make up the talisman. Look at the letters as though they are merely shapes. Don't try to read them or understand them. After doing this for a few moments, take a breath and imagine the sun. Feel its power. Imagine the sun shrinking down. And as it shrinks and moves towards your chest, when it arrives, it moves into your chest as a tiny, brilliant star. Remain aware of the star within you and gaze at the sigil. Now imagine that the sky above you is filled with powerful storm clouds, ready to strike lightning. Look at the talisman again and imagine the image of it moves into your heart. And when you feel it in your heart, there's a bolt of lightning descending from the heavens and striking the sigil in your heart, activating it. And whenever you sing this angel's name, imagine this bolt of lightning striking your heart. So does anybody have any questions or comments so far? You only have to, yes, Rena.
It's interesting how I just felt like a huge shift of energy just by doing that. I don't know if anyone else felt it too, like energy shifting around you.
Oh, yeah.
Anybody else have any experiences? Okay, well, we're just getting our toes in. We're just getting our toes in. We'll see how this goes. People are certainly welcome to share their questions and experiences. Different. We'll have little stopping points when we do that. Okay.
Well,
Yeah.
The difference between the sigil and the talisman.
Same thing. Talisman and sigil, it's two different words for the same thing. They're the images that you'll be working with. Okay. Any other questions so far? Okay. So I'm going to go through the ritual with you, for you. And Virginia is going to read the instructions that are on there's a three or four page document there that has a shortened version of the whole angel ritual. So you're going to see it first. And then we'll have questions and answers and comments, and then we'll do it together. Okay. So I'm bringing forward the simplified ritual pages. I will be following this process. And I need to get my,
Do we need either of the sigils in front of us while you're doing it?
you don't have to have the sigils unless you want to follow along. You can follow along if you want, or you can just watch it, whichever you're comfortable with. Whatever you want to do. When you do the ritual, it's a good idea to do it at the same time every day because you want to get a routine. And dedicate yourself to remembering the 11 days. It's important that you commit to doing the magic. Now, occasionally there'll be a time when you miss a day, you space out, you can't get your book, whatever it is. You can extend it a day or two if you need to. But there's a sense of us making a commitment by showing up to do this every day. And I take that pretty seriously. So when I do Angel Magic, I do it. As a matter of fact, there's another Angel Magic. It's called Success Magic. That is a year-long commitment. And you guys, I have one more week. And I have done Angel Magic every day with this book. And it has been an amazing journey, just personally, to go through this process. So you're getting the benefits of the energy that you're connecting with just by doing the work of the Angel Magic. Okay, so you face east when you do this, and you consider stand, whatever you're comfortable with. You want to have your Shem sigil, your angel sigil, your request, and the psalm that you'll be reading handy. You don't need any paraphernalia. You don't have to wear a cape. You don't have to have, you know, a golden anything. Just show up and be there. I like to light a candle, but you don't have to do that even. Okay. So the no paraphernalia other than what I've talked about. And an open heart, which is sometimes the hardest part of our busy lives. So I'm going to face east, facing east now. And when you begin the ritual, having all of these materials in front of you, you begin by putting your hands, backs of your hands together and making this movement. You say, this is the beginning. I open the way. You're opening a portal. Now I'm going to have Kiki take over here.
So, so you did this,
Mhm.
make the opening gesture,
Mhm.
gaze at the Shem talisman, then keep your eyes on the central triangle as you say,
I call on the inner world to know that this is my will. Naka Iaoa, Naka Iaoa, Naka Iaoa.
picture the following images as clearly as you can as you say,
I pass through the arch of stone. I walk through a field of golden corn. I'm warmed by the fire of the sun. I'm cooled by the water of the ocean. I'm steady on the firm earth. I breathe a sweet breeze. I feel the weight of the earth beneath me.
ask these questions of yourself out loud, but do not attempt to answer them in any way.
I ask, how did I come to be at peace? I ask, how did I let go of fear? I ask, how did I learn to manifest my dreams?
Imagine an orange glow on your left. Imagine a purple glow on your right. Imagine these lights for just a few moments. Make sure the angelic sigil is before you. If you need to flip to a new page in the book, you no longer need to see the Shem talisman. Scan your eyes over the letters in the square of your chosen sigil, as discussed earlier. Say,
I call on the Arzel in the east to connect me to the secret angels of the universe. Ko su harim sil ava ana feha Arzel. Arzel, Arzel, Arzel. Lightning bolts. Arzel, Arzel, Arzel. Arzel, Arzel, Arzel. I call on thee, Raziel in the east, to make me heard by the secret angels of the universe. Raziel, Raziel, Raziel. Vaha de Recha, Selah, Chek Reka, Aldebar Emet, Vayan, Vaisedek, Vitoriaka, Na Ra'at, Yamenaka. Orazel, let my voice be heard by the great angel, Dame Bia. I seal this command with the word of power, Ah, Ra, Ri, Ta.
visually scan the letters of the invocation chant in the black circle in an anti-clockwise direction. Speak the invocation chant for your chosen angel.
Oh, I'm going to do it in English instead of in Hebrew. May I be guided to do your work and be in service to your children.
Glance at the sigil and sing the angel's name 3 times.
Dame bia, dame bia, dame bia.
There's no-
Speak the request for the angel.
um,
Now I'm going to do the request. I call on the powerful Dame Bia, who has the ability to support the success of my business. I call on Dame Bia to increase and sustain the flow of my clients in my practice who are ready, willing, and able to pursue their healing and growth. I manifest these clients and the resources I need to thrive in business and in my personal and professional and financial life. I dedicate my work in service of others' life purpose, healing, and well-being. I'm fulfilled and honored to contribute to individual and global healing and to the expansion of consciousness through my work. And I am grateful for all the clients with whom I share my presence, skills, and love. I seal this command with the word of power, Ah, Ra, Ri, Ta. As you angels have come in peace, go in peace. It is done. So questions or comments? I'm just going to make a few comments before I answer any of yours. When I was singing Arzel, Arzel is an angel who connects to Raziel, who is closer to the divine. So there are intermediaries we're working with. And Raziel, in the literature that this Angel Magick comes from, has 3 different pronunciations of her name. So that's why I sing her name 3 ways. And then she connects us to Raziel, who connects us to Damevia, to source. So we've got a whole sequencing of levels of consciousness that we're moving through to get to source for the request. Okay. There are translations as best as I could find for all of these Hebrew words and psalms that is on the note. There's a couple pages of notes that I've given you with resources so you can understand the translation. So for instance, when I say, Kosu ha reimzil ava ana feha arzel, it's Psalm 80, and it means you grant us life and we call out your name. So it's fun to kind of know what the translations are of what you're reading. I think that's important to understand it. That's why I've done the research for you. You can look at those if you're interested. Okay. And when I say Naka Iaoa, the translation is, I recognize God, I reach out to the creative force in the universe. Now, why do we want to do this in Hebrew? Because the quantum field has been imbued with these words and the energy behind these words and the frequencies for eons. And when there's that 100th monkey effect, the more that do it, the stronger it is. That's why we're honoring the tradition and speaking in Hebrew for this work. I don't speak Hebrew. I don't understand it. And I'm probably not pronouncing it well either. But the angels don't care. They know, and they will respond. And you can do the research so you can understand what it is you're babbling in Hebrew if you don't speak Hebrew or understand Hebrew. And don't worry about the pronunciation. Damon Brand talks a lot about the pronunciation, and he'll give you help with that in the books. But the angels don't care because they know that you are coming forth the best you can to do this magic and this work, and you'll learn as you go. We happen to have somebody who's Hebrew speaker on our group now, so I should consult with you, Michelle, about getting help with my pronunciation. I would appreciate that. Okay.
If you like, but I love what you say about it doesn't really matter. It just doesn't matter to the angels.
Yeah. They're not left-brainers like we are.
Yeah. Right.
They're coming right from the heart.
Yeah.
Okay, do you have any questions or comments about this? Anybody?
I have the book and I followed it avidly for about 10 days and then fell off. I didn't have the whatever it needs to keep going, but I felt the energy was so powerful. And this has driven me to go back to it. Thank you.
You're
Yeah,
welcome.
yeah.
Virginia?
When I was reading the book, they talked a lot about what it can do and what you can accomplish. But two things came to me that I wanted to discuss briefly. The first one is, what about free will? So none be harmed. Do not interfere with another person's life path. They talked about if you want to make someone fall in love with you or love you, and that statement, you're
Yeah.
interfering with their free will. If that person loves you, they love you. If they don't, they don't. You can't change that. You don't have
Right.
Well, if you do, you've got the karma that's associated with it from my perspective. You know, that there's karma always. So coming from the highest good, asking for this or something that's more appropriate or better is a good
Right,
kind of insurance
right.
policy. I'm very clear about that for myself. And that's what I said. Some people use these tools in very selfish, very personal ways. That's not what I'm all about.
Right.
Like, you can use a knife to do surgery and save somebody's life, or you can use a knife and kill somebody who's wielding the knife.
Right. But I think I would have preferred it if he'd said something in the book like that, to say, you know, free will is universal. The other question or comment I have is that I've always believed that the angels can see the big picture. We are, like this, but they can see the big picture, and we can do a working for something that we believe will serve us and that we want. But in the big picture, the angels can see that, no, actually, that really isn't going to bring you what you want.
Absolutely.
They don't focus so much on what we want as what we need.
I agree with
So
you.
I may say, I want more money in this job, and what they're going to see is, no, you need to get out of that job.
Right. I agree.
That's really going to serve you best. And how do we discern that?
Well, first of all, I want to talk a little about free will. We have free will, but we are also bound by karma, which may not be what we want, right? We get, like you said, we get what we need.
Mhm.
The higher our frequency, the closer to the quantum level of creation that we get, the more we're able to move beyond this human limitation of 3D reality and create miracles. Sri Aurobindo talks about that in his book. If you guys want to look back at one of our IBRT presentations, I did a whole presentation on manifesting that's on YouTube. And I talk about the different levels of consciousness and how that affects our manifesting. The personal will is not always the same as the divine will.
Right.
Right? So what we're trying to do is expand our consciousness enough so we get the big picture. So we understand the divine plan that we're a part of, not the little will of man and women, but the divine will. And that's where this angel magic is, from my perspective, trying to amplify that level of consciousness. Now, I have done angel magic that I didn't get what I wanted. And when I look back at those particular rituals and what happened because I did those rituals, I got what I needed. I'm very clear on that. So it's exactly what you're talking about. Because my intention was that always. I want to ask for this, and I want what's for the highest good.
You know, may I mention something? Virginia, I understand your question also, and to me, it's kind of like how some people use prayer. We don't really question prayer, and this is a form of prayer of what I'm understanding.
Mm,
And so, you know, some people will pray for someone to be healed, or pray for someone to uh, recognize or get off drugs, or whatever it is that we're praying for someone else. It's very similar to that, even though we understand the free will aspect. And I'm going to say Tiffany had her hand up, so I'm going to.
Oh, thank you. Tiffany?
Thanks. My question is more of a practical question. So Chris, if you wanted to finish what you were saying,
No, I'm finished. I saw your hand and I didn't want to butt in, so I'm done. Thank you.
no, no problem.
I want to go back to Virginia for just a minute, Tiffany, and we'll come
Okay.
back to you next. Did you finish saying what you wanted to say, Virginia? Was there more to that?
yeah, no, those are the two things that I felt were not really addressed in the book. And I feel very strongly that free will is something you have to honor all the time, because otherwise our little egos are gonna mess everything up.
Right. Right. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Tiffany.
A question about this ritual. Are we supposed to create our own invocation, or are you doing that in this moment?
I did it for you today because
Okay.
it would take a lot of time in our group for you to write your own, but I
Gotcha.
encourage you to write your own.
And that's the paragraph that you're referring to that you,
Paragraph, right. I wrote that for us universally.
right.
And in the book, there are some very clear guidelines about how to write your intention, how to phrase it, what to include in it. For instance, one of the things is gratitude.
Right.
Another thing is to express the joy and the emotions that you'll get to experience when the manifestation takes place. So that there's an emotional energy behind your asking of what it's going to do for you to have your prayers answered. And I totally agree with you, Chris. This is like a form of prayer. Absolutely. It's
And can I ask a quick second question?
of course.
The meaning behind the words that you were saying when you said you should read up, is that in the work that you provided to us, or is that in the book?
It is. If I could find it, it's in there. There might be a few of the phrases that I can't translate because I can't find where they come from. But
Gotcha.
most of it is Psalms. Most of what I was chanting is Psalms from the Old Testament. And
Okay, thank you.
okay. Other questions? Yes.
So we're going to do this now, tonight. We're going to repeat what you did.
I'm going to talk you through it the way you talked me through it.
Okay,
And everybody's going to do it
okay.
with their mics off so that you can sing to the angel and not be self-conscious about it.
Mhm.
Or even
Okay.
if you're operatic, you won't steal the show. And you'll have your own experience. It's the first time through. You guys are just on, first time out of the barn with this. So it may feel a little awkward, may feel a little self-conscious, but that's okay. We all had to go through that to get where we are, right? So we'll do it together. And as you do it, I'll give you lots of times. So you can say the statements, do the stuff, and just feel into what's going on internally as you do it. So you can register your connection to the angels in whatever way it comes for you. May not get anything. He says, don't worry about it. He also says in the book, you do not have to believe in angels for this to work. They believe in me.
Well, the angels believe in you.
The angels believe in you. So we'll see. Okay, any further questions or comments before we do this together?
Not yet.
All right, so please have handy the Shem sigil, the Dameh sigil, and this sheet that has both the psalm on it and the request. You will also have the 3 or 4 pages of the short version in front of you so that you can follow along. 3 or 4 pages. I think it's 3 pages. Yeah. Okay.
Wait
well,
a minute, you said the page with the psalm and the page with the request.
It's this page. It has both on it.
So,
This is what you'll be reading when you ask the angel for the manifestation.
the one that says the power to bring business success.
It says Angel Magic for generating new clients and business.
yeah.
Yes, yes.
Okay, the one that says the powers of Damabia, is that just for our information?
That's for your information. That's why I chose the angel I chose. And
Okay.
that also has the psalm for this angel in Hebrew on it that I translated into English.
I'm real glad you did.
Okay. So you probably can't face east while you're on your computers. So
Yeah.
don't worry about that right now. But turn off your mics. It will take just a minute for you to get centered. And you will place the Shem sigil in front of you. The Shem sigil is your way to connect to God or the divine. It's this one. Okay. So this is the beginning. I open the way. You're opening the portal. Then you say, as you look at your Shem sigil, I call on the inner world to know that this is my will. Naka ia oe 3 times. Picture the following images as clearly as you can. As you say, ask these questions of yourself out loud, but do not attempt to answer them in any way. Imagine an orange glow on your left. Imagine a purple glow on your right. Imagine these lights for a few moments. Place the angel sigil in front of you now. Scan your eyes over the square of your sigil counterclockwise. Now, as you go from this next section, whenever you see the angel's name with an asterisk, you sing the name and imagine the lightning bolt coming through. So say, When you finish with Ra Rita, look up so I know you're ready to go forward. Okay. Visually scan the letters of the invocation chant in the black circle counterclockwise. Speak the psalm translated from Hebrew on this sheet. Glance at the sigil and sing Damabia's name 3 times. Speak your request to the angel. Seal the command with the word of power. And say the last line when you're ready. It is done. You put your mics back on when you're ready. Does anyone have any questions or comments about it?
I feel very peaceful.
Yes, Mina.
Is there a difference if you do this indoors or if you're out in nature doing this?
That would be totally up to you and your experience. If you'd like to be out in the woods and by the ocean, go for it. Try to have a sacred space that you use every day to build the energy as you do your angel magic, wherever it is. And you
For
want
the
it to be
11 days, it has to be the same
11
place.
days. And to be uninterrupted is important so you can really get focused. Now, I know from doing this myself that it takes a while to get the rhythm, to get comfortable, to feel the flow and the sequence, because you're awkward at first with this language and all the details to remember, but it will come and it'll feel like a prayer that you've known your whole life after a while. It just sinks deeply into you. I want to point out the metaphysics of this, and I've got some information for you on that sheet that's pick it up here. All the details of this ritual has so many rich components to it. So first of all, it involves art. There's an angel art. The angel art is in the middle of the sigil for your angel. And when you work with it, put a red color over it. so it stands out. It involves angel script, which is what's above here. This is the angel script, angel language. And it also has the Hebrew name for the angel. We're working with the elements when we invoke, walking through this arch of stone, breathing the sweet breeze. Those are all the elements are incorporated in this ritual, as are the names of angels, which are coded in the Shem sigil. All the angels' names are here, 72. They're read from outside in. There are the senses of sight, seeing the colors, sound, singing the angel's name, sensations of the emotions and temperatures, the colors of red for the angelic art, orange and purple during the ritual. Astrology symbols are included in here. Numerology is included. The power of 3, because you're chanting the name 3 times. And all of you who are into 1111s, you've got your 11 days represented here with the angel numbers. The elements of air, water, fire, earth, spirit, and energy. The secret names of the angels. The power of the directions facing east and the rising sun, and moving counterclockwise. So there's all of those aspects that are taken from different mystical traditions. The power of electricity with the lightning bolts connecting you and to the sigils and the angels, and the sensations of temperature, the coolness, warmth, and movement, and emotions like peace and passion in your manifesting statements that you make. So see how rich this is, how multidimensional it is in terms of a sensate experience and pulling from so many rich aspects of being on Earth. And at the very end of this page that I have was notes for learning Angel Magic. I've got some references for you. The one that is most interesting is this PhD thesis of the 72 angels by William Burkle. And he includes the history of the Kabbalah and connections to the angels' names. And he specifically goes into specialties of each angel in depth. It's all connected to astrology, numerology, and the tarot. So if you want to take a deep dive into the mysteries of this, there's a lot there that you can look into. I thought it was fabulous when I started, but when I started to read about the history of it, it just deepened my sense of what this was so much, that it has such a rich history metaphysically. Okay, anybody have any more questions? Yes, Chris?
If we choose to use today as our first of 11 days, then do we stick with this same angel for the 11 days, or can we change?
If you want to manifest what I wrote up, yeah, but if you want to do your own thing, you go ahead and write your own ritual and pick out your own angel and start over, do one for yourself.
But then we have to start today or next Thursday.
Or next Thursday. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. Yes.
If there is a project that multiple people are trying to manifest, if they all did this with the focus of bringing this into being, let's say building a building or a wellness center, would it be more significant if you all did it, or this, like we all did this one ritual together, we have the same angel, the same intention, all that, the same song, and if the group of people did that, would that sort of amplify the manifestation, do you think?
What do you think? What do you think? Based on your wisdom.
I want everybody yelling it out. I don't know, because everybody has their own perspective of what that wellness center would be and how would it affect them and what they're getting out of it. So I think each of us would want to do it from our own perspective, not the same.
Well, I have some examples from my own life doing exactly what you're talking about, and that has to do with my intern groups that I have every week for 6 months. When I get a new group of interns, I teach them Angel Magic, and we do Angel Magic for 11 weeks, not 11 days, because we don't meet every day. We do Angel Magic for 11 weeks, and my students write the intention together. They come up with their intention. We collaboratively write it. They do the translation for the psalm, and then they take turns leading the Angel Magic for 11 weeks. And it's always around building our practice, getting clients, getting confidence, being of service, all the stuff that you would want for yourself and for your work as a new hypnotherapist. So yeah, it works. And you know what? I do advertising for myself or my clients or my students, and we always have clients because we're doing cosmic marketing.
What's the name? Linda?
Cosmic marketing, I love it.
That's what I call it. It's cosmic marketing.
Yeah.
Okay.
We ask and we receive
Mhm.
with gratitude. And
Okay.
boy, do I get great students. I mean, I do this. I tell my students the first day, you're here because of the angels. And I'm serious. The students that I get are the most exquisite, conscious, loving, ready to do the work beings on the planet. They're just amazing people. And it's because the angels are bringing them. So I highly recommend, you could spend your money on marketing. It's a good idea to get out there on the internet and all that stuff. But when your heart, you guys, is aligned with the divine, you get exactly what you're ready to get. So I'm just trying to inspire you guys to go for it. Whatever your heart's desires. And I can tell you some pretty interesting angel magic stories from my personal life. If we've got time, I'll share a few of my famous ones that blow my mind still to this day. But I want to make sure you get your questions answered and have a chance to share first. Anybody else? Yes, Kathy.
Is the name of the book that you're referring to the same as the name of this today?
Yes. This is the book, 72 Angels of Magic.
Oh, okay, thank you.
This has 72 sigils in it with all these different angels that you can choose from. Now, he's got some other books that have different techniques in it. There's some that are just very simple techniques where you just maybe do it for 1 day or 3 days. And you can, play with all of it and see what you are comfortable with and what resonates with you. This is a more in-depth ritual. This is a more, I don't know, it's multi-dimensional ritual. Maybe you don't want to spend that much time every day for 11 days.
Smith just had a hand up for a while.
Say that again, what?
Thank you. Thank you, Georgina.
Yeah.
Holly, I had a question. So we did a ritual for 11 days, calling upon one angel. And then can we do another ritual for another 11 days, or do we give a little bit of time between two?
Don't do the same
Rituals.
ritual, do a different ritual. And I have about 2 or 3 times had 2 angels for one ritual because I felt there were 2 aspects of it. So I basically did 2 rituals in a row, combining
Okay,
in one sitting. You can do more than one angel.
I see. Okay.
But
Okay.
not smash them together. You do ritual for one, then ritual for two, a whole new ritual for
Well,
each
what I
one.
do is that middle section where you sing to the angel you're working with, I just put them both in there.
Oh, okay.
But I do the separate angel, have to sing to each angel separately. And I combine them when I do my intention. I ask for both of them to join that intention.
And so say the Mabia is the angel for bringing in more business success, but say we wanted to call upon an angel for a health or, you know, completely different thing, would you then suggest do them separately?
Yes. That's a separate request. But if you've got two angels that are maybe helping you with your creativity and your abundance at work, because it's all work oriented, you could put them together.
Right. Got it. Okay. Thank you.
Yes. There's no real rigidity to this, but there are some guidelines that he emphasizes in the book. And I suggest if you're going to do this, you do read the book, because, you know, it'll just give you some support with all the questions that are going to come up, which will come up as you do this.
Tanya?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Is the history you were referring to in that book as well, or was that a different book?
Very little history in the book. I got online and started doing research.
Oh, okay.
There are some translations in the book, but that resource that I mentioned to you with the guy with the PhD has, you know, volumes of research on this that to me was mind-blowing, because it was so validating of what this ritual is all about. After I read all that, I didn't really, all of it was too much for me, but it's there if you want to take a deep dive.
Okay, thank you.
And who was that again?
It's on the notes. It's at the very end of the notes. I've got a link to his research project that's online. So there's a one page that has my notes that I kind of went over with you just a few minutes ago. Okay, anything else?
I think it was William Burke. Is that correct?
Yes, correct. Okay, so here's an Angel Magick story. One of my colleagues was on the verge of a divorce because her husband has bipolar disorder, and he was going off the deep edge and refusing to take medication. And he was actually putting himself and her in some very difficult situations, which could have involved legal issues. I mean, he was way off the deep end. And she came to terms with the fact that she couldn't stay in this relationship anymore, much to her chagrin. And she was really worried because she did not have the finances to leave the home she was in to get another dwelling to live in. So she did Angel Magick to help her with the finances of getting a home. 2 days after she completed her Angel Magick, a dear friend whom she had known for many years through her spiritual community told her that they were going to leave their estate to her, and they knew she was going through a hard time, so they were going to give her the money now. And that money was enough money to buy a home outright.
Wow.
Cash. That's a true story.
Mhm.
And she's living in that home right now. Her husband, thank God, she's still with him. He's on his medication. They've got a bottom line: stay on your medication or you're out of here. And he's got his own home because he never sold his home. So she's got her own space just in case. True story. Another colleague of mine adopted a daughter at birth who was Native American. And by the time this daughter was 16, she was into drugs and alcohol and became an addict. And she and her husband spent thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars getting this gal into rehab. We're up to mortgages up to here. They had to move out of their house and sell their house at one point because they'd spent so much on the rehab, and she would not get sober. But what she did get was pregnant, and she refused to have an abortion. And she gave birth to this baby boy who ended up being addicted to heroin because she'd been using heroin during her pregnancy. Now, because she's Native American and this baby was considered Native American, there are different regulations and laws governing her and her life and her sovereignty, very different than the rest of the US. And because she gave birth to a baby, the tribe that she was connected to wanted to take that baby from her. And my colleague wanted this son to adopt him herself. And she went through a 2-year period in and out of court, having to go out of state to where the tribal law practices were to try to get this kid. And they said, because she's addicted, we're taking this kid from her and from you. They finally got through the courts, but the caveat was she had to be off drugs. She doesn't get off drugs. She's in her late 20s, and she's not getting off drugs. So my colleague did an Angel Magick, number 1, to get this child, and number 2, to get her daughter off drugs so that she had a chance to get this child. After she did the ritual, her daughter's at home with her and the baby, waiting to figure out how this whole thing's going to play out. And the police came to the front door, knocked on the door, and took the daughter to jail. And they gave her no support with her withdrawals in jail. She was in jail for about 12 days. The baby's at home with my colleague. The boyfriend, who was the father of the baby, showed up at the front door of the mother's house and said, "You know what? I think they arrested the wrong person." She says, "Why do you think that?" He showed the proof of why he thought they'd arrested the wrong person. He went into the courts, he went into jail and said, "You've arrested the wrong person. She's not the person you wanted." They had made a mistake. They arrested the wrong person. She was in jail for 10 days, 12 days, and sober. And because she passed the drug test, my colleague ended up getting to have custody it wasn't custody yet, it was a guardian for this boy. This boy is now 7 years old, and she has full custody of this boy, and her daughter is still using drugs. But the angels got it so she got off the drugs, and my colleague got the kid who she's raising, and that child is the angel of her life. True story. Now, those are 2 examples of how unexpected and out of the blue some of this angel magic will stir things up and bring things to you. My sister Heidi had a severe skin condition for years, was unable to get any help for it, and I did Angel Magick for her. And her next door neighbor said, "I know just the person to go to, and I'm going to pay for it for you." She went to this doctor after years of suffering. This doctor had the clue and the cure for what she was dealing with. So these are just little examples. I've got a whole stack of Angel Magick on my shelf that I keep track of this. I keep track of what I ask for, and I take notes on it. And over and over and over again, there have been experiences that just blow my mind. The most important one is the students that I get to work with and the clients I get to work with. That's because that's my deepest heart and my deepest desire, is to have that connection and that work. But I know it's not just me. There's something bigger working here. So I hope this inspires you. I hope you get titillated enough to play with it, dive in a little bit, explore it on your own. Share it with your clients. My clients do this all the time for their own healing. Yeah, Tanya.
I just had a quick question. So in just looking through the book at the different angels and the powers that each of them hold, do you just kind of focus on the one power that they have and or multiple ones that they have, depending on which ones are appropriate for you, and then your intention will be directed towards that?
Yes.
Okay.
I might not resonate with both of them. There's the one that stands out, and it's very intuitive. It's very intuitive.
Sort of seeking a specialist, right? It's like
Yes.
we're looking
Yes.
for, yeah.
Yes. Now, if you want to get into the history, that PhD thesis, the guy goes into detail of all the angels and what the angels are all about and what they provide and do. It's detailed. I mean, that's a whole study in and of itself. So you can check it out online if you're interested.
And you said that there were other books that Damon Brand wrote that are that have rituals that aren't as long and complicated.
Well, the Success Magic book, which I'm finishing a year-long daily thing next week, actually, I'm on my last one, has different angels. These are angels that are called the Enochian angels. There's a whole different tradition with these angels. These were channeled, more contemporary, I think maybe in the last century. So this is a little different flavor. And then there's another one that I've worked with is Sigils of Power and Transformation. And there's another one that I lost. I don't know how I lost my book, but I lost my book on protection. There's protection rituals. There's one book on that. So, you know, I am by no means an authority on any of this, you guys. I'm just playing with it, you know, and learning through it, playing with it. But you'll find the flavors of the ones that work for you and that you feel most comfortable with, because there's different styles of rituals for each of these.
Thank you.
I guess a good way to test it out would be to get them from the library and then buy the one that we reflect on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or digitally. They're available digitally if you don't want to spend the money on the book. But, you know, I recommend you get the book because sometimes you're going to want to travel and you want to just take one sigil with you or ritual with you, not have to haul the book around all the time.
Yeah.
And it's hard to
So when we're doing a ritual, we need to have the image of the shum and the sigil from our angel. We need to have that picture, those pieces of paper with us when we're doing them each for 11 days.
You could use the book, but you got to flip through the different pages.
Yeah,
It's a little clumsy.
right.
And also, you probably want to have the book so you can make copies of this and then do your red images in there.
What I've done is made copies and put them in the pages.
It's a great idea.
Yeah, so I fold the edges down so it fits in the pages. Yeah.
I wish they'd make us a table of contents and tell us where the angels are.
Or maybe a spiral spine so the book stays open while you're trying to do the ritual and that constantly moves and flips. But all right.
Maybe ask Alexa. Yeah, okay.
So how are you feeling about this? What are you taking with you from this experience today? Are you confused? Are you inspired? Are you curious? What are you
I'm inspired and curious, yes.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do it and kind of a show me skeptic. I'm gonna do it. Let's see.
Well, you got some new projects going on. It'll be fun for you.
Oh my God, I've got a million projects going on, don't I?
I'm gonna go back. You sent me back, Holly. You've sent me back.
Back to what?
Well, I did it, as I said, for about a week and then I gave up. But I don't know. It got lost. But I'm going to pull.
You know, I have one dear friend who is a shamanic Catholic, which is an interesting oxymoron. What she is.
That's interesting.
She has one foot in both of those worlds, and she's also a Republican, bless her heart.
Oh dear God.
I didn't say that, but it's true.
And she's a friend.
And I invited her to do Angel Magic, and she dropped it like a hot potato. She could not go there with it. She got really distressed about this whole thing. So it is not for everybody, right? I respect that. I love her. She's awake in so many ways. But she wasn't into doing Angel Magic, and she's a Catholic. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe it was.
I'm going to go back. I mean, I liked it. It's just that I think I got lazy or it got missed a day and then you know how it goes.
Yeah. Tanya?
Do you think that people that we, as individuals, we all have like an angel team that kind of like helps manage our lives? Or do you think that, because like my mom always is like, my angels, like my mom has like this team of angels and they're always like doing stuff for her and working for her. And like, she sends them to help people and then she has to call them back because she forgets she sent them away. And I'm like, do we all have like a team of angels? And then there's all these other specialized angels that do different work.
Oh, I'm gonna have Virginia respond. What do you think about Virginia did a whole thing on angels for IBRT, so you guys can go watch her presentation too. She studied angels. So what would you say about that, Virginia?
I think they're giggling right now. They're not quite so complicated. That sounds extremely complicated, like you have to be a conductor in an orchestra.
A CEO.
And, I'm lazy. That's too much work. I tried to give my angels a blank check. Help me whenever you think I need help, and they're like, no, it doesn't work that way. But I would say that the angels that Holly taught us about are not the same ones as the kinds of angels that your mom is talking about.
Yeah.
The guardian angels, the helper angels have a different energy to them. And a great sense of humor. They laugh at us a lot.
Yeah.
Whereas these guys, they've got a job to do.
Yeah.
So so when I'm doing like past life regression, spirit releasement kind of work, I always ask my clients to call on like their guardian angel, and then we always like you ask Archangel Michael to help. Do you guys do that too?
Yes. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I do.
Sometimes he comes to help even before I ask him.
There's
So
also a
pushy.
whole Damon book on the archangels, specifically the ones that we're most familiar with, you know, from Christianity.
I just put that in my cart. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hi.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You guys feel complete for our
Thank you, Holly. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Holly.
You're
Thank you
welcome.
so much. Mhm.
You're welcome.
Thank
Hi,
you.
Shane, didn't get to say hi to you.
Sorry, I got stuck in traffic and I didn't want to be disruptive. I just got to listen to a lot of it, but it sounded really interesting and I have all my notes, so I will have to start on my own. But thank you for
Well,
having.
may the angels bless you. Have a good journey with this. Have fun with it.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
So thank you.
Hi.
Holly.
Welcome.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Holly, the parcels are going out to UPS. It went out today, so you should get it within a few days.
Thank you so much.